Stripper Stories. True Story of a Pole Dancer. Chapter 1. The Beginning. First Steps into Darkness. I remember that night so clearly. I stepped through the door of the nightclub into the thick, heavy darkness. The air felt warm and strange, filled with smoke and whispers. It was dark, much darker than I'd expected. The only light came from the stage in the middle of the room, where girls in barely any clothing sat talking. It wasn't the kind of place you just walk into without a second thought. And yet, there I was. I froze in the entrance for a moment. My heart was pounding so loudly I could barely hear the music. Part of me wanted to turn around and disappear into the night, pretend this never happened. But I stayed. Just a few weeks earlier, I'd left the tiny village where I grew up, a place where everyone knew everyone, and nothing ever really changed. I was 22. I had studied hard, earned my qualifications, trained in multiple fields. I thought that meant something. I believed I was ready for the city, ready for a better life. But the city didn't care about dreams. Every job I applied for wanted 3, 5, even 10 years of experience. Experience I didn't have. I tried to stay positive, but with every rejection, something inside me dimmed. I started skipping meals to save money. My phone bill was overdue. Hope was slipping through my fingers like water. Then one afternoon, scrolling through job ads with tired eyes and a half-empty stomach, I saw something. Waitress wanted, nightclub. No experience required. And that ad, that tiny spark of possibility, brought me here. To this moment. Standing in the doorway of a world I didn't understand. A man approached me. Well-dressed. Confident. He introduced himself as the manager. His voice was calm, almost warm, like someone who had done this many times. He invited me to sit for an interview in the back, a low, candlelit booth tucked into the shadows. We talked. He asked the usual questions, but halfway through, his tone changed. The waitress position is already taken, he said with a slight shrug. But we're always looking for dancers. I blinked. He leaned in a little closer. You could earn 3, maybe 4 times what a regular job pays, he said. You just talk to customers, have a drink or 2, dance once in a while. That's all. It sounded so simple when he said it. Almost harmless. I smiled politely and told him I'd think about it. But when I walked out of the club that night, something in me was cracking open. I couldn't sleep for days. I replayed it all over and over in my head. The smoke. The lights. The manager's voice. The way those girls seemed so comfortable, like they belonged to another world entirely. I had never imagined myself doing something like this. Not even close. And yet, the city hadn't left me many choices. After several long, sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, questioning everything, I made my decision. I would try. Not because I felt brave, but because I had nowhere else to go. Chapter 2. A New Beginning. The day I decided to take the job, I couldn't stop thinking about what was coming. I felt nervous, excited, and maybe a little afraid. I had always been a pretty girl, with a nice face and a slim figure. But I didn't have much confidence. I never really believed I could be good enough for a job like this. I knew I spoke English well enough, at least, well enough to have a conversation. But still, I worried. What would I say? How would I keep a guest interested, keep the conversation going? So I did something that gave me a bit of comfort. I sat down with a notebook and I wrote out a list of simple questions. Little things that could help break the ice. Where are you from? Is this your first time here? Are you enjoying the city? I practiced them in my head, imagining the guests' faces, their answers. And then, the first day arrived. I felt nervous even before I stepped inside the club. I kept looking around, worried that someone might see me from the street, see me walking into a place like this. I was also nervous about how the other girls would treat me. Would they be friendly? Would they see me as competition? I had no idea what to expect, and that made it even harder to walk through that door. But something surprising happened. The girls welcomed me with warmth. They helped me choose what to wear. They showed me how to do my makeup so it would look good under the lights. They even gave me tips on how to wear my hair, and how to talk to the customers. Little secrets. Tricks of the trade. And they taught me more than that. How to approach a guest, how to smile at just the right moment, how to listen, how to laugh at their jokes. And then came my first dance on stage. The music started, and to my surprise, it was a song I actually knew and liked. That helped. A little. But my heart was still racing. My hands felt cold. I tried to remember everything the girls had shown me, how to move, where to look, how to keep my body soft and fluid. They'd been so kind, showing me simple steps. But nothing prepared me for the moment when I had to take off my bra. That was the hardest part. I felt so shy, so exposed. Every second felt like forever. And yet, I did it. I moved to the rhythm I loved, tried to forget the eyes watching me. And when the music ended, there it was. Applause. Loud, warm applause that made me feel, for just a moment, proud. I'd survived my first dance. And maybe I hadn't done so badly after all. That night, only 2 regular customers came in. They were friendly. They ordered drinks for all of us, a glass or 2 of champagne. All I really had to do was sit with them, smile, and make small talk. Just a few words here and there. And when the night ended, I couldn't believe it. I'd earned more money than I ever had in a single evening. I went home happy. That was the beginning. Chapter 3. Behind the curtain. I worked the afternoon shift. I liked it. My hours were from noon to 8 in the evening. After that, the night shift would take over. The club looked different in the daylight hours. Still dim and smoky, but quieter, a little slower, less intense. Fewer customers, fewer problems. The atmosphere felt calmer somehow. And I grew close to the other girls. We became friends in a way I hadn't expected. There was a kind of sisterhood among the dancers. We helped each other with outfits, hair, makeup, and strategies. There was competition, of course, but it stayed beneath the surface, usually masked by laughter and shared cigarettes in the dressing room. We worked in pairs. Always two of us would approach a guest together. That was the rule. Our main task was simple on paper, but it took skill. Approach customers, charm them, convince them to buy us drinks. We'd go up to a customer, smile, and explain. If they bought us a drink, they'd get a free lap dance. Simple as that. What they didn't know, at least not right away, was that the drink prices were outrageous. If the customer didn't ask about the cost, the waitress would automatically bring the most expensive bottle. Nearly €200. And if there were two of us, double. When they asked how much a drink cost, we couldn't lie. The price was right there printed on the menu. But what we had to do, was distract him. The idea was to keep them from checking the price on the menu. A touch on the shoulder, a soft laugh, a playful question. Anything to shift his attention. Don't worry, it's just a regular drink, we'd say casually, even though we both knew the champagne cost more than most people made in a day. Once they'd ordered, it was done. The waiters made sure they paid, one way or another. We had all kinds of guests. Most of them were tourists, English guys on bachelor parties, loud and rowdy, groups of Dutch, Danish, or Norwegian men, young Italians on school trips. And sometimes older visitors, English or American businessmen, looking for a little adventure. They came alone, in suits, smelling of money and loneliness. And yes, there were arguments. A lot of them. Surprise turned into anger, and sometimes some guests threatened to call the police. Some actually did. But somehow, those situations always seemed to get handled quickly. The club had its own way of smoothing things over when guests got upset. I was getting better at what I did. More confident. I learned how to play the game, how to read the room, how to spot the ones who were ready to spend. My English was good enough, but I still practiced. Despite everything, part of me felt proud. I felt like I belonged somewhere. I wasn't constantly worrying about bills or rent. The money came easily, sometimes playfully, and I was even enjoying myself while working. It felt like I had found a strange kind of freedom in that dark, smoky club.
Make sure you subscribe, so you won't miss the next part.